So the class today is all about letting go deeply from the body, but also from the mind. And it's also a letting go of all that's come before this day, this week, even this year. So we're starting lying down on the ground, body long, into the floor. And just giving the space for nothing, no thing, no thought, no objective, not even a need to breathe a certain way. Just let yourself drop. And if throughout this class you fall asleep, don't worry, your body probably needed it. And as you rest against the floor, your legs long, your arms loose, I want you to just scan through the body, and we'll start at the legs and just see if you can sense into the toes. And just sense the toes having a sigh of release. If your toes could sigh, just allowing them to take a moment to let go. And then think of the arch of the foot, the sole of the foot coming into the heel, and thinking of how much walking and on our feet we are throughout our day, and just imagining a breath coming in through the sole of the foot. And as you exhale, just letting that go, letting the whole sole of the foot soften with so much gratitude for keeping us upright. And then coming into the ankle. And the ankle is this meeting point of so many major bones and joints. And just allowing the ankle to feel like it can decompress. It's literally holding things together. So can we just exhale and just let the ankle release. And then on the next exhale, just thinking about moving your awareness up to the back of the calf, up to the knee, and just letting the lower limb melt. And then letting your awareness wrap around your thigh, front and back, coming up into the hip. And sensing your breath, the breath of your awareness, just filling into this space where the leg meets the pelvis. And on your exhale, just letting go, dropping down. And just noticing your breath as it comes into the body and as it falls and drops away. And just staying with the sense of the legs now becoming heavy into the ground, the heels, the toes, the arch of the foot, the back of the calf, the knee, the thigh, the leg where it meets the hip. And bringing your awareness now to your two butt cheeks that are against the floor, and just literally sensing the two sides of the pelvis. Feeling into the weight on the two sides of the pelvis. And not being concerned if one hip feels higher or one side of the pelvis is heavier. It's quite common, in fact. So just feeling and filling with the breath your awareness into the whole bowl of the pelvis, front and back and sides. And as you let go, just allow your pelvis to drop heavier into the earth. And I want you to sense into the pelvic floor. So this whole area where all our reproductive organs are, and our excretion, elimination, and we seldom think about these. And I just want you to sense a softening of all of these organs, the tissues that make them. And for many of us, we don't realize how much we hold and we grip. So we really are just sensing this softening into the center of the pelvis, up through the pelvic floor, just bringing our breath there. And as we exhale, just letting go. And this could be the first time you've ever brought your awareness here, and it is amazing how much tension you may become aware of. So whatever your experience, just be soft with yourself and lovingly keep your awareness in the body, and exhaling, letting go, creating space, melting and releasing. And then bring the awareness up towards your belly button and just feel the softening of the belly. Notice on your breath if there's a rise and a fall. And as you're lying against the ground, you may notice the movement of the lower back as you do this. And again, just going what feels natural to you, not forcing anything or pushing anything, but just noticing as I breathe in, what is happening through my lower body. Think of all that has accumulated from now. As I breathe in through my legs into my pelvis, does my belly rise, my belly button come up towards the sky, my lower back a little arch perhaps. And then as I exhale and I let go, just feeling this dropping, grounding, releasing, letting go. And on your next breath, just come into an awareness of your spine, and the spine connecting from the tailbone into the sternum, the chest bone. So our chest can tighten in an instant. It's really connected to emotion. And so just getting a sense of this major bone that comes up through the center of your chest, and from it comes the ribs. And just getting this sense of the whole of the rib cage, or as they say in German, the rib basket, which is much nicer. So this sense of, on your inhale, this expansion, and on your exhale, this softening, feeling the softening through the back of the ribs as they connect into the floor and into the spine. And then on the inhale, this movement from the spine into the ribs, and they wrap around the front of the body into the chest bone. Just taking your time to feel this spherical space and the volume of your natural breath. No need to change anything. And on your exhale, just feeling the weight of the rib cage release, drop down, let go. And as we release from the rib cage, our lungs are housed in our rib cage and our heart. And just getting a sense of these major organs, getting a breath, getting an opportunity to drop and soften, grounding down, melting. Letting go of any excess. Our lives are full of too much and excess everywhere, so this is your opportunity to let go, and that should feel joyful and liberating. So just enjoy your exhale, the sense of the earth, the ground beneath you. And as you let go, I want you to think of the shoulder blades, which are on top of the rib cage, connected into the earth. And just getting a sense of these triangular structures. And just noticing as you breathe, if you can sense how the shoulder blade rises a little and moves outwards, and on the exhale how it slides a little inwards and down the back. And in our session today, we're going to focus on shoulders, mainly shoulder blades. So whatever your awareness is now, later you will have more of a sense of them. So just notice now how it is, and later you can come back and see how it's changed. Let your arms release, elbows, wrists, fingers dropping down. And in order to really let go of the arms, we have to let go from the shoulder blades that connect into the spine. And also letting go of the front of the chest, the clavicle, and all the muscles that connect the neck downwards into the chest. So on your next breath, just sensing the upper chest and the neck, enjoying the space of your breath, and on the exhale, just letting go. And it might be nice even to make a soft sound as you exhale, an ah sound, just to let the throat, the voice box, all that's held in the throat, just dissipate any tension, holding, effort. Let your voice have a sigh, your breath sigh. And feel the connection of the throat into the spine, how when you sigh or sound or exhale deeply, it softens your throat, but it also creates a space through the cervical spine. And then guiding your awareness to the back of the skull and the head, just feeling the volume of your head against the floor, the weight either side of your skull. And as you breathe, just sensing the breath coming in through the nostrils, and just allow the breath to satiate your body. Literally, we're craving the breath. We're bringing it in, and it's bringing all this life to all the cells. So as you breathe, just sense the space coming into the skull, the brain, the sinus, all the sensory organs, and just be full of awe and appreciation for the amazingness of your body. Because when we have gratitude for our body can work with us. And most of the time we're pushing and we're putting effort, and actually our body wants us to slow down, and that's often why the body seems to be going against us. And on your next exhale, just feel like your brain is softening. The muscle of the brain, all the work it does, just let it soften, let it relax. Let the eyes roll back in the head. And as you let go, just get a sense of the whole body, the back of the skull, the arms, the shoulder blades, the rib cage, spine, hips, legs, feet. And just feel the wholeness of you now dropping into the earth. Your imprint, if you were lying on grass, would be deeper. The grass would be flat, because the more you let go, the more the weight melts into the ground. And having let go, feel how the breath can move through you and around you with greater circulation, vibrancy, and nourishment. And as you breathe, just noticing if there are any areas that you notice you're holding, or anywhere that you really want to concentrate on bringing healing to. I just invite you, in the space you've created, your breath can travel to that area, that part of your physical body, mental, emotional body. And on the exhale, just feeling it dissipate and let go of any tension associated. And allow your body to float, held by the earth, Mother Earth. Dropping down, coming into a deep place of rest. Here is where our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for healing in the body, repair and renewal of all our cells, all our structure, this is where it really gets a boost. So when we're able to drop into this space of deep rest, this is where the body heals. And this is usually what happens in sleep, when we get deep quality sleep. But it also happens in somatic movement. So whatever your experience now, just listening to your body for the rest of the session. I just want you to only do what feels comfortable and easeful and joyful for you. Anywhere there's pain or effort, do less or just imagine the movement. So on your next exhale, I want you to just sense the arms dropping further into the ground, heavy, heavy, heavy. And I want you to sense your shoulders, and let's just do one shoulder at a time. I just want you to slowly think of lifting your right shoulder away from the floor, just a fraction. And less is more in what we're doing. So we go slow and we do less. And as you release the shoulder, slowly go back down. So when we go slow, it gives time for the brain and body to make the connection. And it improves our habit and our pathways within the body. So we just want to take our time and just notice, how do I move? How do I fulfill this movement? What other parts of my body are engaging? So staying curious, just slowly raising the shoulder upwards as if you wanted to bring the shoulder up towards your ceiling. And then as you exhale, slowly letting that shoulder return. And on the return, if you go slow, you'll notice perhaps little jitters through the muscle, the fabric of the tissues. Just go slow. And on your next one coming up, just sense as if the shoulder was coming up to touch your chin. And then as you release it down, going extra slow, and when you get down to the ground, just let your shoulder blade press back into the floor slightly and just have an awareness of this side of the back of the body, and then let it go, relax. Exhale, and move your awareness across your chest to your other shoulder. And have a few breaths first to just fill your awareness into the space, and very slowly just sense the other shoulder moving away from the floor as if you were bringing your shoulder up towards the ceiling above you. So not bringing it up towards your ear, but bringing it directly in front of you, and when you're lying down, that means towards the ceiling. And as before, going slow, noticing what it takes for you to fulfill the movement. The other parts of your body may be compensating if this movement doesn't come easy for you, and trying to just isolate just the shoulder. Notice your head and your neck. Does it want to move? If it does, don't worry about that. Just go with that movement. It's natural. They're all interconnected. But for the most part, just allowing your focus to be on the shoulder, and as it comes up next time, slowly release it, maybe slower than before. And once it comes down towards the earth, press your shoulder back slightly, 10% more than it was before, and then slowly let it go. And already, just having done these two sides, just notice if there is a slight sense of more opening across the chest, that your shoulders are a little wider, flatter into the floor. From where you are now, I want you to work with the right arm again and let your awareness fill the whole arm from the shoulder down to the fingers. And as you inhale, I want you to sense this whole space filling with awareness. And think of your arm as a rolling pin, and I want you to roll your whole arm in, turning the hand as much as feels comfortable until your arm comes to press into your thigh. So keep rolling the hand like a rolling pin until you meet your leg. And so the back of the hand might come towards your thigh. So rolling the whole arm in the joint and then rolling it back out. Lovely. So nice and slow, just discovering, how does my shoulder extend into my arm down to my fingers? And how does this affect my neck, my head? Your chin might be moving as you do it. And just focusing on one side so we can notice the difference between the two. The next time you roll it in, slowly roll it out. And as you roll it out, leave your palm facing up. And then very slowly press the shoulder again back down into the floor, just feeling this connection through the back of the body, and release. Breathe. Just notice any differences between right and left. And then switching to the other side. Shoulder to fingertip, sensing the whole space. And moving the arm as one, heavy into the ground, the arm slowly turns from the shoulder until the back of the hand presses into the leg on that side, and it slowly revolves back out. And if your arm just flops out, that's fine too. Enjoy a few of those, and then the next time just slow it down as you go out and just notice whatever your experience is through the back of the body. So in somatic movement, we're always learning about ourselves. How does our body work with us and for us, and sometimes against us? So we're discovering what our habits are. And on your next one, rolling the arm in until the back of the hand touches the leg, slowly letting the whole of the arm reverse, melt back out until the palm faces up. And then exhaling, pressing the shoulder blade on that side back down into the floor, and let it go. And enjoy a deep exhale. 2 arms long, heavy against the floor. And then let's go to the right arm again. And I want you to keep the elbow into the shoulder connected into the ground, and just bend at the elbow so that your wrist comes above your elbow, so your wrist is in the air. So exactly above your elbow. So it's 90-degree angle. I find that this is a hard one to perceive, so you might want to glimpse at your hand. Sometimes our hand is completely off and it's actually quite fascinating, but you want to bring the wrist directly above your elbow. Yeah, and once you have that, closing your eyes and let your wrist flop so that your fingers are towards your chest or your belly button. So whatever feels comfortable for you. And in this position, we're going to keep our elbow rooted down so that the rest of the arm feels comfortable. So our elbow is heavy into the floor, our wrist is directly above it. And then very slowly, I want you to think of the fingers dropped towards your body, and then slowly let the fingers turn upwards to point towards your ceiling. So you're just bringing the wrist from a floppy wrist forward, up to vertical, fingers towards the ceiling. And as before, just going slow, just let yourself be fascinated by what's happening through your arm, the wrist, and the wrist in connection to the shoulder. And so we're just going forwards and to center, we're not flopping backwards. So just going through this range of motion first. And then the next time you come up to the center, let your wrist just flop backwards to wherever that is. So if you're someone that works at a computer a lot, you mightn't have a lot of range of motion here. So just going from upwards to flopping backwards, wherever that is for you, and coming up to center. Don't go forwards yet. So just flop back and forwards. And we're just articulating through the wrist. So elbow to wrist is still. And the next time the wrist flops back and it comes into center, now let's go through the 3 ranges. Dropping forwards, through center, nice and slow, flopping back. And can you notice the subtle movements, the connection into the shoulder cap? How does the arm feel as the wrist alone moves? Obviously there's a connection of so many nerves and muscles. And going really slow for your last one, be totally fascinated. And then the next time the wrist flops forward, you're going to just think of the thumb, and I want you to just raise, leave the fingers as they are, but just the thumb is going to come up towards the ceiling and come back down. So just focus on your thumb. So reflexology teaches us, and the focus of it is that all the body is interconnected and one part of the body can affect different organs. So just thinking about that whole concept, that we're never just working with a digit here in this case, we're working with our whole system. Everything is connected. And then relax the thumb. And then move to the next finger, index finger up and down. And you might be surprised that little fatigue might come in the wrist. Just go where it's comfortable for you. And then when you've had enough, always take rest. And when you feel like it, begin again. And if you want, you can go to the middle finger. The middle finger is not as independent as the others. So you may notice the others trying to engage. As much as you can, do less and just try and isolate the movement of your middle finger. And just feel through it. I know it's tempting to watch it, but in this case, try and just notice the sensation. One more, let it go. And then the next finger, even less independent, a ring finger, hard to isolate. And so as we move our finger, we're actually connecting all the way down, up through the shoulder, into the shoulder blade, into the spine, and all the nerves associated. And then let's do the little, and then let go of the fingers, let all the fingers drop heavy. And then we're just going to do all the fingers coming up to center once more, and all the fingers coming forward. And just notice now, your fingers may be longer up towards the ceiling than they were before. So typically they're curled to begin, but I find after doing this movement myself and with others that the fingers lengthen in a different way. It's like they've realized how contracted they are and now they want to take the opportunity to lengthen. And then lengthen your fingers up towards the ceiling and then drop the hand back for a moment and back up to center and forward. One more time and then we let that go. And then relax your arm, rest it on the floor. And when we're propped up on our elbow like that with our wrist directly above, it shouldn't be too tiring or fatiguing. It's different when you're sitting and doing it. So just check that on the next side. If you're tired, maybe it's your alignment that needs better support. So bring your awareness to the other arm and gently bend up your left elbow and check that your wrist is above your elbow. And just notice on this side if it's quicker to get there. And be curious. And then let the wrist flop in towards your body. And then very gently bring it from flopping forward to vertical. Not yet dropping back. And just taking your time to go through these movements. And when you think about it, our hands are working all the time. They're the conduit, the connection point between us and others, or us and an object. So we're actually putting them through so much use and sometimes a lot of effort. So taking the time for the hands is rarely given in yoga or any kind of movement classes. So if you find the movement challenging in ways that surprise you, that might be why. Next time you bring the fingers up to vertical, drop the wrist back and then come up to vertical and just do this movement from back to center. This side could be very different than the other. And get a sense of your fingers as you're doing the movement, just noticing how curled they are. And then bring your wrist forwards completely till the fingers come towards the downward position, back up to vertical and dropping back. And just go through these 3 points. And if you have tennis elbow or anything like that, you might be noticing your elbow, so go a bit slower. And the next time the wrist flops forward, just relax in that position, make sure that your elbow is heavy into the floor, and let's come to the thumb. And we're just going to raise the thumb, trying our best to isolate it. Thumb is the most independent of the fingers. And sometimes as your awareness builds of your kind of somatic body, you can notice that moving a certain part of the body allows another part of the body to soften and release. So just be thinking of your whole body as well, not forgetting about the rest of you. And then let that go to the index finger. Stay curious. And let that go and come to the middle finger. Noticing the differences on this hand. If it's your non-dominant hand, typically it might be more agile and moving independently because there's less held tension in it. You know, you're not writing with this hand. And then the ring finger. And so each of our fingers and different parts of our hands are not just connected to different organs, but also they're connected to different parts of the spine, different vertebrae. So again, just if you notice a release or a click or a sense of dropping in your body, just be mindful of that. And let's go to the little finger. Little finger is like the thumb, it's pretty independent, doesn't affect all the fingers as it moves. And make sure you're really exhaling, not holding your breath. Slow one on the last one, and then drop all the fingers and slowly bring all your hand up and down, and just feeling if there's greater length through the wrist into the fingers. And then drop it back on the next one, just noticing if there's any change. And then whenever you feel like you've had enough, or just finishing the one you're on, just drop your arm into the floor. Let it go heavy, heavy into the ground. And then slowly I want you to think of the hands on both sides, and I want you to come back into that position with the elbows on the floor, the fingers above the elbows. And I want you to slowly bring your hands to reach up to your ceiling directly above you while keeping your shoulder blades, the back of the rib cage, in contact with the ground. So rather than the hands wide to the side, directly above you. So when we have our hands directly above, it means there's not holding, that the bones can just stack up. And just notice how that is for you for a second. In a moment we're going to do it with our feet bent up. So just notice if your back is feeling an arch or your neck. Just notice how this is for you. And then for a moment here, I want you to reach both your hands up to the ceiling and feel how your shoulder blades move away from the floor, and then slowly retract them back down. And come in and out of this nice and slow. So try not to go quickly up. Try and go slow so you notice the peeling of the arms. Peeling of the back of the shoulder blades to reach up. You don't have to lift your head. And then slowly the return down. Keeping the arms directly above you. Keep your neck soft. And just notice what's happening. What's occurring in the rib cage as you do this. What happens to your chin? Does your chin move? Your lower back move? And then on your next one, just bring the arms back down to the floor by bending the elbow first. Bend the elbow so that the shoulders relax, and then slide them down. And slide them long down onto the floor, wherever feels good. And I want you to bring your awareness to your legs, and I want you to take one leg and slide your leg out to the side and bring your foot to stand. so that your knee is pointing up to the ceiling. So one leg at a time, bending the knee, bringing the foot to the floor, and the other. And as the feet come into contact with the ground, just feel the sole of the foot flat into the ground. And if this pressure of the foot into the floor was 0%, I just want you to feel what 5% would be if you were to increase the contact of your foot into the floor. And then let that go. Very subtle. And try again, 5%. And let that go. As you are, I want you to slowly allow your pelvis to move. So as you lie on the ground, I want you to sense the tailbone dropping and the hip bones raising. So what that does is that creates an arch through your back. And then as you exhale, I want you to bring the back of the pelvis and the lower back in contact with the floor. So all we're doing is rocking the pelvis forward and backwards, going through a little arch and a little flatten into the ground. So just do that for a moment. And as you do that, I want you to notice at what point do your feet make more contact into the ground. As we arch through the pelvis, our feet typically connect more downward into the earth. And as we roll back and flatten our back, the pressure through the feet softens. So just noticing if that's true for you. And then let that go. Keep your feet as they are, but just relax. And so as I said before, every part of the body moves a different part. It's all interconnected. So as we moved the pelvis there, we were also moving the rib cage and even the neck. So we'll come back to that again later. So from where you are now, I want you to bend the elbows so that the hands come up into the air, and then return the hands to reach up to the ceiling as you did before. So your hands are directly above your shoulders. Drop your shoulder blades so that you're flat into the ground. Keep your arms as they are, but let your shoulder blades feel the earth. In this position, try and make sure you've got no effort. Notice where you're engaging in your neck. If your neck is over engaged, you may need a pillow under your head or to drop your chin into your chest a little. From this position, let's try what we did earlier, and we're just going to raise both hands up and just feel the difference now with your feet on the ground, and then slowly bring the shoulder blades back down. So keep going through this movement nice and slow. And as you do it now, I want you to notice what happens through your head and your chin as you move. And also what happens through the feet into the floor and the lower back. So there's a lot happening here. So as we raise our arms up and down, the rest of our body is also moving. So typically as we raise our arms up, a little arch comes into the spine, our tailbone drops down. And as we let go of the shoulder blades back into the floor, our back relaxes from that arch, may even flatten slightly. And as we reach up, the contact of the sole of the foot into the floor enhances, and as we come back, it relaxes. Notice, do you breathe in as you reach up, or do you breathe out? Now one more. And then bring the arms down, relax them on the floor, and just take a moment to rest. Just letting the arms melt down. With the arms on the ground now, I want you to get a sense of those shoulder blades, this triangular structure. So the tip of the triangle is facing downwards towards your pelvis, and then it goes wide out to the sides at the top of your shoulder blade. So the part that would be underneath your shoulder. So think of these two triangles either side of your spine. So you've got the floor, then the shoulder blades, and then the rib cage are on top of the shoulder blades. So the shoulder blades slide against the rib cage. So I want you, with your whole body rested into the ground, I want you to see about moving just your shoulder blades. So with your arms loose by your sides and relaxed and long, see how it is for you to move your shoulder blades upwards and downwards. So if you wanted to bring them towards your pelvis and towards your head, but you're not lifting them away from the floor, you're sliding or gliding them against the ground. So there is a big difference here. So not what we did earlier where we rolled our shoulder away from the floor, you're sliding it against the ground. And why not just do one side first? So try just the right side, sliding it against the ground, up and down. So our shoulders have huge range of movement, our shoulder blades. So take your time. If there's any soreness or pain, do less, or just imagine this movement. And now I want you to explore, so if that was north and south, up and down, what about east and west? So how can I slide my shoulder blade away from my spine and then back through center towards my spine, just doing the right side still. Take the time to do this. Be curious. Sliding the shoulder blade. And likelihood is you've never done this before, so it is quite tricky to do. At least when you're lying on the ground, you have the feedback from the floor. So you're sliding like you would slide a mat. And then let that go. And then let's come to the other side and just get that north and south, keeping your shoulder in contact with the floor, your shoulder blade. And then east to west, inwards towards the spine and outwards. And this one is trickier to experience. And it's only a fractional, minimal movement. Because we're not moving our arms, we're just trying to isolate the shoulder blade. And now let's see with both shoulder blades if we can slide both shoulder blades down and both shoulder blades up. And just going between up and down with both. And you're not trying to hitch your shoulders towards your ears here. Your shoulders are dropped and not really moving. It's just the shoulder blades. So it takes a bit of time to work that out. And then can you move both of your shoulder blades away slightly and towards? And then let that go. Rest for a moment. And now I want you to bend the right elbow and bring your right hand up into the air so that your fingers again are facing towards the ceiling. So your right arm is directly above your shoulder. So with your right hand up towards the ceiling, I want you to do the same movement. So retract your shoulder blade up and down, but keep your arm in the center so the arm doesn't necessarily move. It might tilt. And then I want you to make a circle. Can you go down to the side, up to the other side? Can you make a circle with the shoulder blade against the floor? So keep the focus on the shoulder blade more than the hand moving. And then reverse the direction. So you're kind of massaging your shoulder into the ground, kind of like a kneading action. Lovely. And then let's let that side relax. And then take up the other arm, bring it up. And then just start with the up and down movement of the shoulder blade. Imagine your hand is kind of sticking to the same point on the ceiling. And then draw a circle with your shoulder blade into the ground. So if it was a spiral, the biggest point of the spiral is on the ground, and then it minimizes, the movement minimizes as you move towards your fingers. And then change direction. So you're going down, side, up, the other side. And you're really getting into all of these points in the back that, you know, can be tricky to feel and are rarely acknowledged. So just take your time, go slow. Any tension, do less or imagine it. And then let that arm go, drop it into the ground. And you may notice more heat through the back of the body, and just softening, melting, melt the front of the chest down. Have a breath in, and an exhale, release. Enjoy your breath. And then keeping the shoulders soft into the ground, we're going to bend up both elbows and reach both arms up towards the ceiling. So the palms are facing each other. And I want you to slowly reach one hand up. So one shoulder blade comes off the floor, and then drop it down. And then the other hand comes up, and it drops down. And just do this opposition now. So as one reaches up, the other connects down. And then they meet in the middle and they change. And as you do this, what are you noticing through your feet? Is it kind of like stepping? And you may not have noticed anything, but now I've guided your awareness there. Maybe you notice that as you reach one hand, the pressure through the foot on that side increases. Whatever you're noticing. And now as you reach, what's happening to the head? Is the back of the skull rolling in one direction as you reach the hand up? And if it's not moving, can you explore that? As you reach a hand up, slow it down and notice, where does my head move? As I reach my right arm, does my head turn to the left or the right? And take your time, do less, and explore what way your head prefers to move. So if your head hasn't been moving, now try that. So as an arm reaches, just let the head move in one direction. And just notice if it moves with the arm or goes against the arm. And then you're going to do the opposite. So if your head was moving one way as you reach, now do the opposite. So if I reach with my hand, typically, if I reach with my left, my head turns to the right. So I'm going to try and do the opposite. So as I reach with my hand, now I'm turning to look behind myself as that shoulder raises. And just notice how the feet press into the floor as one arm reaches up. So my hands are directly above me, I reach an arm up and I'm turning. So to reach an arm up, you're creating a turning through the pelvis and a turning through the head. So when our body is interconnected and fluid, this naturally happens. But over time, as we age and create habits in our body, we don't have this natural movement that a child has. So we're trying to recalibrate that in our system. Okay, next time we come back to center, drop the arms, relax the legs, and just notice how the body's feeling. The chest, the back of the rib cage. And just melt the back of the head, the eyes, the brain, deeper into the floor. And then from where you are, I want you to feel the back of the skull against the ground and just slowly let your head turn to one side. Just go as far as is comfortable and then slowly bring your neck, head back to center. And then go to the other side. And just take your time and just go where it's easy. And just think about rolling across the back of the skull as you move the head. And as you move the head, what happens through the shoulder blades? As I turn my head one direction, does the weight drop more to the side that I'm looking to? Does the other shoulder blade move away from the floor? And I want you to go 50% slower for the last one or two. What are you noticing? The shoulder blades are a bit like a seesaw, just like the two sides of the pelvis. Notice what side the shoulder comes up a little away from the floor as you turn your head. And then the next time you come back into center, let that go. So all of these minimal movements we're doing, they have a strong effect on the body and in particular the nervous system, so how we regulate and care for our bodies. So allowing that rest and renew I talked about earlier. So never underestimate the power of what you're doing. So moving slowly and minimally is really impactful. So on your next exhale, just let the back of the head soften into the floor and slowly bend the knees back up one at a time until your feet come to the ground. And let your arms be loose by your sides, so kind of either side of your hips. And very slowly I want you to let your palms are flat into the ground. And I want you to let your fingers peel away from the floor and peel the hands until they come back up into the air directly above your shoulders. So keep your arms long at your sides, peel the fingers up till the elbows slowly come off the floor and the hands are directly above you. That's it. And then having just done the movement of the head against the ground, we're going to one more time just let one hand reach up and then bring it back, and then the other hand reach up and bring it back. And as you do this, I want you to notice, can the head move a little more fluidly now? So your head is turning from side. As you reach the hand up, your head turns. See if you can find that more easily in your body. So as my right hand reaches up, my head turns to the left. As my left hand reaches up, my head turns to the right. As my right hand reaches up, my right foot presses into the floor. So it might feel natural to you or foreign, but just taking the time to see, can you find this connection in the body? So our shoulders moving moves the neck, which moves the head. So this is how a child would be moving. So see if you can find this interconnection through your body from the feet, which moves the hips, with the shoulders moving the head. And then let that go and just come back into center. And now bring your hands downwards from where they came, all the way either side of the hips. And then turn the palms up and now lift your palms until they come over your head. maybe to the floor behind you. And then slowly reverse that. Bring the palms upwards and bring them up above you, and then down to the floor. And turn the palms up, bring them up above you and overhead. And as you move, notice what happens through the lower back and through the rib cage and through the head. The chin comes into the chest and it moves slightly away from the chest. So what are you noticing? At what point do your feet connect down more into the earth? So whatever speed you're going, go a bit slower now, because in every moment I want you to notice what's happening through my lower back, my feet and my head. Because there's a shift as you move the arms. You're moving the shoulder blade, and the shoulder blades connect into the spine. So as you move the hands upwards above you, above your head, your lower back comes into an arch and your ribs move away from the floor. As you bring the hands upwards towards the ceiling, your lower back flattens to allow that movement to occur, and your hands come down to your hips. Trying that for yourself. As you move the hands away from the earth, typically the lower back arches to allow you to move overhead, the rib cage expands, and then bringing the hands up. As we flatten the lower back, it allows the movement of the arms to come back down. When we bring our hands above us, typically, whether our palms are up or down, there's more connection through the feet. And as we bring the hands from above us downwards, the feet soften. There's not as much downward contact. So finish the one you're doing, and well done keeping all your awareness there through the body, the arms affecting the spine, and relax whenever the arms come back to the floor. Let your arms lie against the ground. And on your next inhale, just bring your lower back into a little arch. And then exhale, flatten your back into the ground. Inhale, little arch. And as you arch, your chin comes into your chest. And as you flatten the lower back into the ground, your chin moves away from your chest, back to the horizon. Just explore that for yourself. And then for one last time, we're going to bend the elbows, bring the arms directly above our shoulders, up into the sky. And we're going to long arms, so the elbows are straight, whole arm, and we're going to reach one hand up. Notice what happens through the foot, the lower back, the head, and back to center, and reach the other hand. And just going from side to side, and just notice now if there is any more connection for you. When we move the hand, we move the spine, which moves the pelvis, which moves the head. And then coming back into center, you're going to slowly let your arms cross as if you're giving yourself a hug, and bring your two arms to wrap so the hands go to the opposite side, and just notice how your shoulder blades move away from the floor here. And then slowly bring them back up to center. The shoulder blades go flat into the floor. And then change your cross so the other arm is on top, crossing the arm. Shoulder blades move away and back, up, the arms above. Once more either side, crossing. So I hope you've learned a lot about the shoulder blades and you have this new awareness of the back of the body and how it affects the spine. Next time your arms cross, wrap your arms around yourself, give yourself a hug, and just rock from side to side across your back as if your arms were creating this rocking movement. But really it's coming from your core and your spine. So just rocking across the upper back, and then give yourself a real hug. Feel the squeeze of your own shoulders, and then bring your hands in front of your chest, circle over your heart and your chest, just letting go of anything else, any residue. Hopefully your chest feels a lot softer than when it first began. Then bring your hands to your face and rub across your face. Let go from your face. Softening down. And then drop the hands down over your waist and rub around your waist and your hips. Bend your knees into your chest and hug your knees and give yourself a rock across the lower back. So you've done so much whole body movement in the session. So just acknowledging your body here, and as you rock the pelvis, just feeling the whole of the surface area, the back of the body, rub the shins, maybe even can reach your feet. And then let your feet find the floor, drop your knees to one side and just let your head turn to the other side, just lengthening through the spine. And then bring your feet back up to center and then drop them to the other side and enjoy a twist the other direction. Giving space to your breath. And then slowly bringing the knees to whatever side you prefer and curling up onto your side. Resting there for a moment, just letting your body settle. Have a few breaths. And then taking your time to come into a seated position, keeping your eyes closed. Or if you feel like you want to rest longer, give yourself permission to just lie down, close your eyes. And if you are coming to sit, just keep the eyes closed and just let everything settle. And you may notice a lot of subtle energy through the spine, the back of the body. Maybe your length or sense of yourself is a bit longer and hopefully lighter. And just notice your breath. And after a somatic movement lesson, there's so much more awareness of the sensation in the body. And because we're working on the level of the nervous system, there's typically a deeper sense of rest and peace and calm, because we really come out of our head and into our body. And I hope this peace continues with you, and that you can always come back to this practice throughout your busy days or your Christmas season. Sometimes there's a lot going on. So just allowing this anchor and this softness to stay with you. If you feel like it, you can bring a hand to the heart, a hand to the belly, and just feel your touch, your contact with your body, and just give yourself TLC, just feeling the warmth of your hands, perhaps rubbing in, whatever feels right for you. And I always think the kidneys need extra attention, so I bring my hands to my lower back and I just rub up and down there, and if that feels good for you, go for it. And anywhere else that you want to bring that TLC, just let that come into the body, into the heart, and sealing in our practice with so much love for ourselves. When we care for ourselves, we can better care for others. Filling our heart with our inhale, and exhaling, just bowing our head and just offering thanks to yourself and each other. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this shoulder practice. I hope that you feel lighter and freer in your body and in your mind.